We all know farming has changed. With new and ever-advancing technologies, American farming and ranching doesn't look like it used to. Across the country, in operations big and small, we're making choices that help keep agriculture sustainable for your grandchildren and ours. Our values are the same. We grow crops and raise livestock and poultry, so you can raise families that are happy and healthy. And thanks to innovations in agriculture, we're feeding more people with fewer resources. With innovation come questions, and we're here with answers. So let's talk. From basic terminology so you can speak the same language and ask the right questions, to complex topics like environmental impact and GMOs. Food dialogues exist to provide answers to your questions about food, straight from the people who produce it. So get to know who we are, how we work, and why we love what we do.
Thank you for joining us for our Agri-Pulse Washington Week in Review. I'm Spencer Chase, joined as always by Agri-Pulse Senior Editor Phil Brasher, discussing the week that was, agriculturally speaking, in Washington, D.C. And as I'm sure you're all well aware, it's been a while. We aborted doing these videos for the month of August, or avoided doing them for the month of August, mainly because Congress also avoided being in Washington for the month of August. And so there wouldn't have been quite as much content to talk about as they were on their August recess. But we're back, and we'll be back for the foreseeable future here as Congress wraps up the month of September, the fiscal year, and as well as the calendar year moving into the end of December. And Phil, I want to start with some action that we saw this week regarding some timelines that we knew the House and the Senate were going to have to address at some point in the month of September, and we really saw some concrete action on that really early in the month of September.
Right. Usually, we always seem to come to this threat of a government shutdown at the end of September, which is when the federal budget year ends. We may have gotten away from. We didn't ever think that the government was going to actually shut down, but there's always this drama, and there's a huge to-do list because Congress really hasn't accomplished very much in the first 8 months of this year. But as you mentioned, this week it looks like we've pretty much cleared the decks as far as that's concerned. At least pushed the big decisions to December. The Senate passed a package that, after a deal that the President Trump reached with Democratic leaders, actually bypassing Republican leaders. That's a whole other subject,
right?
to talk about. The Senate went ahead and passed this package that the President wanted that includes $15 billion in hurricane relief, an extension, continuing resolution, extension of government spending authority into December, as well as an increase in the debt ceiling limit.
Mm-hmm. And so, Phil, with this extension, I mean, we've alleviated the threat of a government shutdown in September.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But one still looms for the possibility in what is it, middle of December? This current extension expires.
Yeah, and it's the cycle we've been on in the last several years is that Congress can't get the budget, the appropriations bills done by the end of September. It's been a long time since that happened. We inevitably have these budget agreements in December. This time we had it in this past March, or April actually. So that's what's going to happen in the next 3 months. They will be working on an agreement to fund the rest of fiscal 2018, and we'll expect to see that in December. Of course, as everything else happens around here, we probably won't see anything until the last couple of days before the deadline. It could be even pushed a few more days because there's so much to be done yet.
Mm-hmm. And on that note, rather than focusing on the week in review here, Phil and I want to just kind of look ahead through the rest of 2017 in terms of what Congress needs to get done, what Congress might get done, and really kind of lay that out for you in terms of agricultural policy. So, Phil, first and foremost, the intention in Washington seems to have been shifted, agricultural or otherwise, towards tax reform.
Absolutely. That is, and frankly always has been for Republican leaders, particularly House Speaker Paul Ryan, has been the number one priority, and that's tax reform, and particularly in reducing the corporate corporate tax rate. President Trump seems to have come around to that. In fact, they argued that the reason he cut this deal with the Democratic leadership on increasing the debt ceiling was to get this issue and to clear the decks for tax reform. But that's going to be the major priority this fall. It is very, very difficult to do. Republicans don't expect Democratic support, but we should see something by the end of this month.
Mm-hmm. And with that really tees up a lot of the other calendar items that they're really going to be important for Congress to consider. And we've heard for months and even years now that at some points in the end of 17 or beginning of 18, we're going to start to see action on a farm bill in either the House or the Senate.
Well, it's a matter of the calendar. The committee chairman, committee leaders, ag committee leaders on both sides know that they really need to get things, the ball rolling now in this calendar year, just because 2018 is an election year, midterm elections, almost nothing gets done in the last half of the year. It's very difficult to get politics at all that comes into it. And so there will be certainly an effort to get at least a bill moving at least one of the committees. No, on one side of the hill, no certainty, but I know there's been a lot of work with the House Ag Committee staff in terms of getting cost estimates on a number of different proposals. Nothing has been released yet, and no timing on either side in terms of when the committees might schedule a markup.
One thing we do know is that the Senate Agriculture Committee on September 19th is going to be considering some nominees for Department of Agriculture positions. We've seen some official nominations and some people named from the White House to get these Department of Agriculture jobs because as we sit here right now, the only Senate confirmed official at the Department of Agriculture is Secretary Sonny Perdue.
Right, he's really home alone over there when it comes to having a team around him that can make the policy decisions. And this is going to be even more important as we get to the Farm Bill, and those committees are needing advice from the USDA, from the administration. But it's a lot of it's just getting the paperwork and so forth. There is only one of these nominees that's really controversial. We talked about him before, Sam Clovis, who's the nominee for Undersecretary of Research, Economics and Education. We expect if he can get through, it's probably going to be on close to a party line vote. But that's he's in terms of he's the only one who's probably going to have a problem getting through. The others should not be a problem once the committee can get to them.
So tax reform, nominations, and farm bill, certainly some things to watch here in the rest of 2017 if you're a follower of agricultural policy and a reader of Agri-Pulse.com. We will be sure to keep you up to date on all of the news and information that's going on here on Capitol Hill, over at the Department of Agriculture, and across the country as it relates to farm policy. For the rest of the year, we're back to nose to the grindstone season here in Washington, and we're looking forward to providing you that coverage. I think that's going to do it for this week. For Phil Brasher, I'm Spencer Chase. Have a good one.